When President Reagan was leaving office in 1988, Prozac was invented, the Soviet Union was withdrawing troops from Afghanistan, and Faith by George Michaels was a #1 hit on the chart. It felt like the excesses of the 80s were leaving us with a kind of hangover you get when you spend 3 nights in an alcohol and drug-induced Mexican rave with strippers, midgets, and a donkey show. We were 4 years past the Orwellian predictions in his popular book 1984, and commercialism and excess reached unparalleled heights. One film satirized all of this in the sci-fi cult classic about paranoia and the dangers of conformity. I am, of course, talking about the brilliant portrayal of a man down on his luck and the rigid system that favored collaborators by aliens that worked to harvest Earth's resources. The film is They Live. The film was based on a 6-page short story, just 1,800 words long, titled 8 o'clock in the morning, which was later adapted as the comic book titled Nada, after the main character. The film made $13 million on a $3 million budget and has attained cult status ever since. In a role that should have led to a thriving career, the film's protagonist Nada is played by Rowdy Piper and supported by Keith David as Frank and Meg Foster as Holly. Our hero Nada, which translates to nothing in Spanish, is down on his luck after his manufacturing plant closes and is joined by the good-natured yet hard-brawling Frank, who's just trying to provide for his family at a construction job. Nada stumbles onto a pair of sunglasses that open his eyes to a cover-up orchestrated by a clandestine organization's subliminal messages that are conditioning us to consume, obey, and procreate. That last part's not too bad. This newfound knowledge infuriates Nada and leads him to a murder spree in which he seeks to eradicate the oppressive alien race still hidden from the average man and woman. After the killing spree and the greatest line in cinema history,
"I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick, and I'm all out of bubblegum."
He kidnaps a media station employee, Holly, so he can make his getaway after being cornered. She eventually escapes, and Nada and Frank get recruited by an underground resistance movement that has known about the alien overlords for some time and are getting ready to openly expose and combat them. After a betrayal, most of the resistance are killed or captured, and the two escape to the mothership, where they discover the broadcast point of origin that is keeping humanity under control. They hatch a plan to destroy it, and Frank is betrayed and killed by Holly in one of the most f***ed up deaths ever. Nada is eventually shot, but he manages to destroy the broadcasting array, which exposes the aliens to the world, and hilarity ensues. The film brilliantly satirizes our desire to trust in the establishment, playing on the very nature of paranoia against the system and the affluent in our society. It showcases the disparity between social classes and power structures centered on wealth. There might not be a cabal that's suppressing a specific class, but special interest groups certainly are out for themselves, no matter how many thousands of people they hurt. Just look at the controversies behind the COVID-19 pandemic. The protagonist, Nada, represents a man who has discovered a truth. He attempts to pass on the enlightenment to one of the archetypes, Frank, who eventually comes to terms with it, albeit after the greatest fight sequence in cinematic history, and Holly, who rejects it and smashes Nada on the head with a bottle. A rejection of truth can harm a great deal of people, and this is demonstrated when Holly betrays the resistance at the climax of the film. Although her motivations are unclear, I feel that the truth was too much for her to take, and she didn't want to believe that her world was a lie. She rejected the paradigm that clashed with her worldview, but truth in the end is too powerful for the Hollys of the world to hold back. It always comes out. This film predates The Matrix's idea that the world is asleep and only a handful of individuals have the key to unlocking it. This trope also echoes in religions and other belief systems throughout time, and the film exploits our warped propensity to believe that life is unfair because the fix is in. We root for the man that openly fights against all odds to balance the scales, to help bring down the tyrants and deceivers. In this case, aliens that use the media to control us. In many ways, this message is timeless. Don't believe everything you see and hear. In the current hyper-political world, where the media blatantly lies to its audience to fit their narratives and canonizes fools like Juicy Smouye as the victim hero, and news organizations demonize a president as a Nazi. I really hope that we can come together as a nation and work for the betterment of each other, Let's accept the truth when we see it and make up our minds for ourselves, regardless of the worldview that the media pushes on us. Well, let me know what you think of my review. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and as always, keep watching movies.